What's going on, guys? It's David Piatek, and I got a special guest, Lourdes Fernando, with me today. Today, we're going to be talking about a new bill that is being introduced to bring more awareness to the VA home loan. So, Lourdes and I are both Army veterans, and this is definitely an issue in the veteran community. And I'm glad that they're at least trying to get this out to the veterans that are out there. Why this bill is being introduced is because only 13% of veterans have used the VA home loan. Now, Lourdes, you are also a lot in the veteran community in the space. What do you see some of the challenges on maybe why veterans don't know about these benefits and why we need to bring awareness to the veteran community?
Yeah. So thank you so much, David, for having me here. And yeah, it's critical to get actual information out there. There's so many misconceptions. And that's one of the things that we first talk about is all the misconceptions around the VA home loan. And they don't have access to that. And speaking from personal experience, when I got out the military, I had no idea how to use my VA home loan, that I can actually, it's cheaper to use my home loan oftentimes than to rent a place. And then, even renting a place, we had a veteran that was in their place for 12 years. And then their landlord said, we're not extending your lease. Good luck. Go find somewhere else. And he didn't think that homeownership would also be part of his journey. But just knowing how to utilize the VA home loan, also making sure that you're not getting overcharged for the VA home loan. And we see that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the sad part. I did a video not too long ago that last year over 416,000 veterans used the VA home loan. And on average, well, not on average is like they get charged $8,000 in additional, I feel like junk fees, in my opinion, because there's plenty of folks out there that don't charge that like us. So you can position yourself and put yourself to have more money in your pocket. Like one thing I always say is that if you're being marketed to, and on a paid platform, you're paying for that somehow, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. And I want to touch a couple things too with some stats that they came out with like the VA home loan piece is that surviving spouses, only 46% of surviving spouses realize that they can use the VA home loan, which I feel like there's just some challenges with that or just not understanding that. And doing events with different nonprofits, we've definitely run into that piece. And Lourdes, you touched on something that's pretty major for the veteran community, which is misconceptions around the VA home loan, right? You think today, in today's internet filled, information filled space, that you could just, pop on, learn about your VA benefits, exactly how they work, and then just move on with life and have all the most accurate information. But that's just not the case, right? Doing this stuff on YouTube, what I've realized is that I look at other people's channels to kind of get an idea sometimes of like, hey, what videos can we push out, right? That makes sense for veterans to learn about. And in that journey, what I find is that veterans get the wrong information, even from big influencers that exist out there that are in this space. So what we do on the channel is we provide information from the VA handbook, which by the way, guys, is that's public information for you to be able to go out and get that information for yourself. Now, the VA handbook is like 616 pages. There's updated with VA circulars. And I think like that's where the misconceptions come from is that the well, I mean, one is that the program changes over time, right? Like being able to buy a multifamily and use rental income if you have reserves, right? Lord, as you were able to utilize that change. And we basically, you were able to do that right when that change happened. And recent things like having a home inspection. Sorry, my alarm's going off. I don't know why. Uh, but there's even like having termite inspections being able to be paid for by a buyer, right? So
It's a new
that was
change.
a
Yeah.
this $75 item was such a hindering piece on like a $500,000 house. Lourdes, what's your experience with
Ooh.
with that piece of like, because that's really the only overlay you can say on the difference between a conventional loan and a VA loan when it comes to cost is really just that termite piece.
Yeah, a lot of our deals were not getting accepted because we required the seller to pay for the termite inspection. So when that circular passed that you can now pay for it on your own, oh my God, it's a game changer. So that way it's not gonna hinder up a deal, and it did, especially for going down multiple offers. It was super competitive. Like, I was paying for termite inspections, like,
Right.
out of my own pocket because I didn't wanna, we didn't wanna kill a deal, and the sellers were so adamant. But that's just another, and I love that you're bringing that up, David, because that's just um another item, because I have agents, fighting me, like, not fighting me, I shouldn't say that word,
You're not fist fighting, but they're trying to go in
but they're
against
telling me,
you.
"You can't do this." I'm like, "Yes, you
Right.
can."
I know.
And there's so many things that you can do it, and just I love that they're introducing this bill, because you're gonna have so much more platforms coming on, providing actual education on updated items. I can't even tell you how many conversations I get into with other real estate agents that are veterans that are like, "Oh, no, you can't get a condo, the condo has to be approved." I'm like, "No, it doesn't need to be approved. It can be disapproved, and you can get a waiver for that specific veteran." So just knowing these things, and having awareness around it, and the proper people telling you what you can and can't do. And I always
100%.
say, "Yeah, I've done it." And when I submit an offer, before, I used to say, "Hey, listing agent, this could be done." And they're like, "Okay, whatever. We want to see the proof." So I
Right.
screenshot, like, disapproved building. I go into, I have a sold by Lourdes on this date. I'm like, this was the first one that I did 2 years ago. So
Yep.
they know that it's been done repeatedly. Here's the disapproval from the VA. I screenshot that, and it made it happen. And just going above and beyond, and just making sure that the veterans are getting advocates like myself, and like David, fighting for them and saying this can be done, and being able to make it happen, so that the veteran at the end of the day has that ability to actually achieve home ownership and be able to compete in today's market.
No, 100%. And to your point with that condo piece, I love that one because I get a lot of people that reach out from a video that we did a couple of videos on the condo piece, but I use those same videos to share with agents to be like, look, this is the proof is in the
Exactly.
pudding here. Like this is something that we do. Now, Loris, now one thing, I want to talk about is maybe some of the challenges the VA faces with bringing some of the awareness to the veteran community, right? Because it's kind of a twofold piece, right? One, the VA doesn't do VA home loans, right? So
Yeah.
bringing awareness to the program itself, they can't always provide all the information. You can always relate back to the VA handbook, but unless you can actually do the financing, that's where veterans want to know, right? Like if you're saying that I can do it, and then I come and ask you specific questions like, can I do this? This is how I want to do it. A lender really needs to structure it. Yes,
Yeah.
the VA does the specially adapted grants, and they do the NADL program, which is the Native American Direct Loan Program, which also saw major changes in that happen the other week with a new bill that passed. But for the veteran community, like you want to be able to get answers, and that's what we do on the channel itself, right?
Yeah.
So the VA has this newsletter that they push out every month. I get it. And they do have some good resources. Like they just published a 2025 resource guide that kind of sums up a lot of the common benefits that veterans have. And then really how you can utilize them, what websites you can go to be able to get that, right? The flip side is that the VA doesn't bring on lenders to their platform because they don't endorse anybody, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like a challenge because lenders have overlays, right? Where they say that, okay, yes, the VA allows it, but we don't. And then veterans think like, well, this is the gospel. Like, hey, they can't do it. And I just ran into someone like that with a foreclosure with a VA loan, but they actually could use another VA loan, but they were denied 3 times. And I'm like, this is insane. And this is not uncommon. Like we get this kind of like every couple of days, we'll have somebody that denied a couple times. We're able to approve them. It's positive. And then you have the component of the real estate community of, hey, and we deal with this on a day-to-day basis, Lourdes, is that, and maybe you could tell me what your experience with this is that misconceptions of selling agents or consumers because they go online, they look it up, and they'll be like, oh, you can't do the example like you said with the condos. Like you can't do this. This is takes forever, and then you can't get a condo approved. And the funny thing is that the other day we won a contract for somebody because and two VA offers on a condo, two VA offers. Okay. The one offer told the lender told the listing agent that no, they can't buy in that building because it's not VA approved.
Oh,
We
no.
came in and said, "This is an easy, like, yeah, we can do it." And the guy was like, "It's so unfortunate that people don't know this stuff." So,
Yeah.
what's your like? You're in this space, and I know you head up a lot of stuff for the veteran community and the real estate space as well. Like, I teach a lot for the NAR. What is your input on like why there's so much misconceptions within the real estate community about the benefits of the program?
Yeah, because I think, a lot of people just don't wanna open up that little handbook and read it,
Right.
to be honest with you, David, because it's that simple, like, opening up that, a lot of what I see a lot of, lenders and real estate agents just going based on experience. If I did it, I can continue to do it. Or, "Hey, oh, I learned something new today." We're always learning something new today. I hear that phrase all the time because it's as easy as picking up a handbook and reading, and then also paying attention to the circulars.
Yep.
If you're not in this, and the circulars are just updates that come out. They're in addition to the handbook. So if you don't know where to get it, or if you're not plugged into the community, I feel like it's going to be really hard for you to get all the information. And you have a lot of people claiming that they're experts. And one thing that we do a lot when I talk to somebody, how many VA loans have you done? Like, the proof is in the pudding. If because like I said, people don't read or they don't follow up with the stuff. They're not plugged into the community. So how are you getting your information? Where are you getting your information? And how can you best serve the clients? How can you best serve our veterans at the end of the day? And I see this all the time, David, where people just don't they go based on experience, or I heard this, or I saw a TikTok on that, and this, that, and the other, and it's just not viable information. So making sure that you have a team that actually has the resources, actually is plugged into the community and has experience. And a good question that you should ask some of your professionals is, how many VA loans have you closed? And then that's going to tell you a lot of information if they're truly an expert, and if they can really help you navigate you through this process.
Yeah. And I'll add to that one thing just because there are big banks, as we know, that focus on the veteran community. So sometimes that might throw you off. Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that you want to ask them is just one qualifying question that probably a lot of veterans don't realize is that square footage of a property affects your ability to purchase a home. And why that is because it affects your what's called residual income. So a good question that is technical, which you should know as a lender, you can ask them is how much per square foot does the VA charge against residual income of a property? And it's the answer is 14 cents per square foot. So if you go $3,000 thousand square foot home, they actually count $140 against you for your residual income, which can disqualify you. When we've seen that before because lenders haven't asked, someone has reached out. So be technical, methodical in this process. Review the costs of a loan. And thanks again for checking us out and checking out the video. Hopefully, you get some good information. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys soon.